One thing I was thinking about at lunch was we were talking about the grandkids trips.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't say, I forgot to ask about Kelly. Where did you take Kelly?
Oh, okay. I took her to Disneyland. She'd
Oh,
never
that's
been
right.
to Disneyland. And I let her mother go with us.
I remember now. That's awesome. How old was she? Oh, 13?
13.
Very fun. Okay. So, this section is called Words to Remember. Things you've often said to your children or grandchildren. Do you remember? So many things. Do you remember that time when you were babysitting us? We lived in Ogden, and Trace and I were fighting. Do you remember? No? Well, we were. And
Not you.
not us. And yeah, that was fun.
And
I must say
what did I say?
you were very patient. You didn't say anything, but I just remember, I mean, like, I don't remember something specific, but
yeah.
You were frustrated that we were fighting. What about things your children or grandchildren have said to you that you'll never forget, or something that was memorable?
That's hard.
That's alright if you can't think of something. We can come back to it.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay. In what ways do your children or grandchildren make you proud?
Oh, so many ways. Teresa getting a bachelor's degree at this age, knowing how hard school was for her all her life,
I know.
has just really touched my heart.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, she worked for that.
And Zach's pursuing a master's degree with raising a little family, which is not so little. Just has made me so pleased with him. And his wife, who has lived through this with him and encouraged him, and
yeah.
And watching my grandchildren become good parents. And the things that they've accomplished in their family lives.
All right. Oh, sorry.
I think Bryant taking his children after the divorce and giving them a good home and raising them. Although I don't think any of them are active in the church now, which is sad for me. I think he's done an amazing job on his own.
Yeah.
With family help, of course, but he's a good man.
Yeah.
And I hope he's finding a good companion. He's been alone too long.
I guess he's dating somebody, right, Dad?
Yeah, looks like it. I've been watching it on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, Dad said she's really nice. So, yeah. Okay, here's some simpler questions. One of your favorite colors?
Blue. Have you ever walked into my bedroom?
Most days you are wearing what?
Basically what I've got on today. A pair of pants and a shirt.
Fair enough. Your favorite dessert is
Anything chocolate.
chocolate. A smell that makes you stop every time.
A smell
Mm-hmm.
would probably be bread baking, which I very rarely smell anymore. I don't bake anymore, but I did for a long time.
You love playing this game.
Racco, because it reminds me of my dad. It was his favorite game.
It was? Oh my gosh, I love Racco. Okay, a book that has stuck with you.
Little Women.
Oh, I love it. Music you love to listen to is classical.
Mm-hmm.
Your favorite movie of all time?
Somewhere in Time.
Oh, that's a good one.
Very good, Grandma.
And I spent a long weekend in the hotel that was filmed
You
in.
did, that's right. I remember you showing me pictures of that. Is that in South Carolina?
No, it's in Michigan.
Michigan. Oh, right.
It's on the island in the
Mackinac,
Lake
is it
Huron.
Mackinac. Mm-hmm.
Mackinac Island in the middle of Lake Huron. Well, not the middle, but
Out there.
out there on an island.
You are happiest when you are.
Oh, so many things.
Right. What was the first thing that you thought of?
Traveling.
What was the
which
next
is
thing?
over.
Not always, I'm sure. What's the next?
Being with my family.
Okay. That's what I thought. Words you try to live by.
There are a lot of words I try to live by. Be honest. And be kind.
Those will take you a long way. What was it like becoming a grandmother? And how has that affected your relationship with your own children?
Becoming a grandmother was really hard because it didn't last very long. That little baby was holding my finger when he passed to the other side. And it was hard. Still is.
Okay, the next time you became a grandma.
That was fun. That was Mackie.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we took him. There were movies at Idaho State that you could go to,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember he was fussy, and I was out with him. I don't know, was it just outside on the bench at Fraser Hall, and I asked him what it was like where he came from, and he just babbled and babbled and babbled to me.
Aww. How has being a grandma affected your relationship with your own children, do you think?
Oh, it's made me appreciate them a lot. They've given me a whole string of treasures.
What are some things that people often compliment you on?
I think being dependable. it's not anything frivolous, really. I'm not a frivolous kind of person. But I've always tried to be dependable.
Good. What about you has stayed the same throughout your life? Like personality traits.
Suddenly all the negative things come to my mind. Would you repeat the question?
So talking about personality traits, what about you has stayed the same throughout your life?
I still think of negative things.
Well, sometimes something that you think may be negative, someone else thinks may be a strength.
But I think being dependable is what I think of. I think I am dependable.
What do you think about some of your personality traits have changed over your life?
That's a hard question, Rachel.
That'll make you think, huh?
Have changed. I think I don't see things as many things as black and white anymore that I might have done previously. I would be interested in hearing other people's answer to that question about me.
I'll go around to all of your kids. We'll compare notes. All right. What is your favorite quote or saying, or if you have several, or describe what they mean to you?
You know, I'll think of the answer to that after you've gone back home.
And that's okay, because I was thinking about this earlier. If there's something that you think about in, the next days or weeks or whatever, just send me a text message or call me and let me know, and I can just write it down and add it to the compilation. Actually, maybe I'll just leave this book with you. Then you can go through and read it, and if there's something that you think of, then you can just call me.
Okay.
World events. We talked a little bit about the Depression and you growing up back in the early 20th century. What major events have you witnessed in your life, and where were you and how did they affect you? Okay, so major events, probably the first one would be the end of the Second World War, right? You were probably old enough to remember the beginning of it, were you?
Oh, yes. It started in 44.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were 14.
I remember the bombing of Pearl Harbor. That was a
How was-
biggie.
What happened when you found out? What were you doing that day?
Well, I don't remember what I was doing.
Did it take a day or two for you guys to find out or hear about it, or?
Did you hear about it on the radio?
Yeah, we heard it on the radio.
Oh,
That was before television entered our world.
so it wasn't like 9/11 when you saw the
No.
planes.
No, I watched that. I was at work, but we were in the director's office and she had a TV. And
Yeah,
that was horrific.
yeah, that was pretty. Okay, so you remember, so you were 14 when Pearl Harbor was bombed, right?
Well, she was 11. It was December of 41.
Oh, that's right, it was.
Oh, okay. And then the war ended in November of 44, 45?
May and August of 45.
August of 45.
Germany in May and Japan in August.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember how those dates impacted you?
Well, it was wonderful that the soldiers who had made it through would be coming home and that we'd be able to buy sugar again.
Yeah, so how was that, like, with
It
rations?
was difficult.
Yeah.
Even being on a farm, we were in better condition than most, but there were things like sugar, and we had stamps, and we could get just so much.
Mm-hmm. Why were they limiting sugar?
Make food for the troops.
Really?
That's when Nanny started buying sugar in 100-pound bags.
You'd ship it away?
And she put it underneath her stairs. And when people would barter with her for some sugar, because people knew she had it, in the war and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they would come and get her sugar, leave her some kind of a something,
Mm-hmm. Did you guys have to do any of that? Was there any bartering going on in your
I don't
city?
remember that part of it, but I'm sure my parents were always willing to help someone who needed help that they could give.
Mm-hmm. So what else happened as you were growing up? So, well, I know where you were when Kennedy was assassinated. So
Yeah.
there's that. Hospital room.
I was actually walking, hoping to get to the hospital.
Oh, you weren't quite there yet?
And that was interesting, being in the hospital at that time, because the nurses were always down in the day room watching the television.
You couldn't get a hold of anyone. Hello, nurse.
They didn't bother the patients very much.
What happened between World War II and Kennedy's assassination? What else? What were some other dates in world history?
Korean
Korean
War.
War.
Yeah.
Did that affect you or your family?
Not well. My brother Al was drafted during that time, but he was very fortunate that he didn't have to go overseas.
Oh.
He was kept at Fort Lewis in the Tacoma area in Washington and worked in the motor pool with the cars, because that was his field of interest. Fortunately, he was able to stay there. And I remember we went up to Tacoma and visited them. Do you remember that, Grant?
I do. I was very impressed with his uniform.
Yeah.
He told us about a new pilot program that his ward was involved in called home teaching.
Well, serious?
Yeah.
I remember you telling me about that. A pilot program, huh?
Yeah.
Korean War, the Cold War, also like the Cuban Missile Crisis. Did that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've heard about that on the radio or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had TV then.
Oh yeah, you were born by then,
I was
huh?
in junior high.
Yeah.
You know, I don't remember a lot about that.
The movies were pretty intense, but I'm sure that's Hollywood too.
I was, when I would watch about it on TV, you know, I didn't take it seriously. Annie Darlene, who lived just across the street from us, that's when she built her bomb shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a decent sized bomb shelter that we just, not for 10 kids, but for the 5 that she had at the time.
Any other dates in history that stand out? World events?
Well, 9/11, of course.
Yeah.
That was.
I couldn't
That was
stop
scary.
watching that. I couldn't. I had just turned it on to the news, and I didn't see the first plane hit. But, you know, they were saying that a plane hit the towers, you know. And then I saw the other plane come around and then plow into the other side.
Mm-hmm.
That scared me.
I remember seeing the plane and I was like, what?
I know.
What? Where does it go? What? And yeah, you saw it fly into the building. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. This next one is called Going Places, and it says list the places you've traveled so far. So I'm gonna leave that blank for now.
You don't want
You
to
can-
take the time.
You can just fill in. No, so okay, let's do this. Is there a continent that you haven't been to?
Yes, Antarctica.
Did you want to go
And-
there?
If I'd had the chance, I probably
You
would
probably would have. Is there another place that you haven't been able to visit that you wish you could have?
I would like to have spent more time in Africa and the Orient. I've only been in the Hong Kong airport, and I didn't ever get to Japan, that northern part of the Orient.
Mm-hmm. I thought you went to Singapore.
I did.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Mongolia too, or just?
No, not
Singapore.
Mongolia. Yeah, Singapore is probably, and Kuala Lumpur, which is just north of Singapore.
Mhm.
These, were interesting. I'm glad I got to those. Singapore was especially nice. It was the cleanest city I've ever been in.
That's what I've heard. Like you never see garbage on
No,
on the sidewalks or anywhere.
people get arrested for
Mhm.
littering.
Oh gosh.
So, and I got to go to Raffles Bar
What's
in
that?
Singapore. It's a famous bar. There was some movies made there,
Oh.
and so that was fun. I have a Christmas tree ornament that came from Raffles.
What was your most favorite place that you visited?
Well, that's really hard because they were so different,
Yeah.
but I would have to put the Holy Land at the top of the list.
Yeah.
It was,
Did you go with a tour group?
I did, and we were led, I can't remember the man's name, but he had dual citizenship
Oh,
in
yes.
America and the Holy Land.
And
he was
he-
born there,
Yeah, and he was raised Jewish, but then
Mhm.
converted
then
to
converted to Mormonism.
Mormonism. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I just can't think of his name. Yeah, that would be the travel guide to have. right?
Yeah, it was.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
wonderful.
That's amazing. All right, what have been some of the hardest challenges for you in your life and how they affected you and what did you learn or gain from them?
Oh, the hardest challenges in my life.
Me.
Well, there were moments. Oh. I guess marriage was one of the hardest challenges. I've learned a lot since I made some of the mistakes I made. I'm hoping that Heavenly Father will know how to work all this out. And I trust that He will. I just hope that I like the way it works out.
Yeah.
And I will.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm sure you'll be very happy with it.
I think wife number one has some advantages. So,
We can't wait.
right? Pins and needles. Well, so even with marriage being difficult, what did you learn from that experience?
That I made a lot of mistakes.
Well, yeah, but everyone makes mistakes too. You're not the only one, I'm sure.
And I hope that I know that however it all turns out in the end, it will be right.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope I'll be smart about how I end up and content.
Mm-hmm. What is something else that has been difficult for you?
I think having had to make a lot of hard decisions. What's difficult for me right now is relying so much on other people because I can't do things that I used to do and that I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I've tried to keep a positive look on things and have learned to appreciate how good people are. Grateful for good friends who support me and help me at this point in my life.
Look after you. Your neighbors looking after you.
Yeah.
I always wonder if Heavenly Father lets us get old so that other people have someone to serve.
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because if everyone were young, then we would all just be focused on ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the ticket.
Way to go, Rich.
Okay, so this is called 3 things. 3 things that you're proud of.
My children. My grandchildren. My great-grandchildren.
All right, that was easy. Okay, the next one. 3 things that you're passionate about.
The gospel. the importance of having friends and being a friend. And Diet Coke.
Right.
Okay, 3 things that you've lost.
3 things I've lost. My youth. My grandmother's diamond.
Your grandmother's what?
Diamond.
Oh, you lost that?
Where'd you lose that? Or
Yeah. Fern left the house unlocked and went somewhere, and someone came in, and that was one of the things they took.
oh, ouch. Anything else? We have my youth, my grandmother's diamond.
And 2 grandchildren.
All right, 3 things that you look forward to.
Seeing my parents again. And my little sister.
What else?
And dying at home in my bed.
That's quite specific.
And I just hope someone finds me
Right?
before I start to
Before you
stink.
start to smell. Oh my gosh. I'll remember that. Okay.
They're gonna call you every day.
Oh, come on. What are some things you have yet to do and would like to accomplish?
Well, I think I've pretty well got my family ready to do what they need to do when I do go. I've got the funeral program written out, and my person who takes over has his instructions.
Question. Does someone have the password to your computer? I'm not kidding.
I hope so. They use it. It's
Oh, okay.
it's a code that I use for a lot of things.
Okay, does that include your phone? Does someone know the passcode to get into your phone?
You don't have to have a passcode to get into my phone.
Okay.
I've kept it free of that.
Okay. So a friend of mine, her dad passed away suddenly, and she was like, the things that I never thought never thought of was how to get into his computer. She says, we've got all of the passwords to his websites, like bank accounts and all of that stuff, but I can't get into his computer because I don't know the password to his computer. So, anyway, I just thought that would be good to throw out there. Is there anything that you want to do before you go? It's kind of weird to say it that way, but is there anything left that you want to do or accomplish or see or?
Well, not really that I can do. I mean, I'm pretty limited as to can't travel well anymore.
You did do a lot when you were getting up and around.
I'm going to go to the Pocatello Open House on the 9th of October at noon.
You have it reserved?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Do we?
Yeah, Carly's getting us the tickets.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And they'll bring Louise too, so I'm glad.
When did she tell you that?
Just the other day, I think, that was one thing. She wanted me to be sure I told you that was the day. So we're going to stay overnight. So I need to tell Ruthie to get our room for Sharon and I.
What was that, October 8th?
9.
9th.
At noon?
Uh-huh.
Is Ruthie coming too?
Yes.
Okay.
And like I said, Sharon's coming, and Mel and Carol Lee and Janet.
Does Louise live with them, or is she still in Pocatello?
She's still in Pocatello. She refuses to leave.
Oh, bless her heart. All right, role models. Who did you look up to as a child and why?
Well, first of all, my parents. And the why is obvious. They were the best people on earth at the time.
Who else?
And Afton Grunder. She was my third and fourth grade teacher.
Mm-hmm.
A high school teacher that was important to me was Miranda Rebentish. She later became Miranda Sparks. Our stake president, President Stuckey. He was also one of my school teachers. I think I've always looked up to the prophet. I think the only prophet I ever shook hands with was George Albert Smith.
Oh, really?
We had, when I was a junior in high school, we had a seminary gathering at Rick's College, and he was there and spoke to us, and he shook hands with all of us as we came out of the building.
Wow.
It's been interesting. One of the bishops I had that I loved and who has given me blessings has withdrawn from the church. He served 2 years as bishop, and I knew he was in trouble when I saw a post on Facebook that didn't agree with the first presidency's decision about the LBGT community. Something that he said, I thought at the time, this is not going to end well. And it was about 2 months later that he was released as bishop and called as the stake float chairman.
What's a float chairman?
The 24th of July parade where stakes are assigned. Stakes in this area are assigned floats.
Oh, wow.
And then not long after that, he had a couple of other callings, but then he and his wife, who had been our Relief Society president at one time, stopped coming to church. They didn't withdraw their memberships, but they stopped having home teachers and visiting teachers, and I need to call Wendy. She's one of the people I'm assigned to minister to, and have been ever since they moved into the ward. And her mother's become a good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a sore soft spot in my heart.
Yeah, that would be hard.
But they're good people. Oh, excuse me. That's Carol Lee. I'll tell her I'm busy. Hi. Yes, they are, and Rachel's still interviewing me.
We're almost done.
So I'll call you back after a while. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, well, speaking of, it looks like we've come to the end. It's a couple, okay. So, if you could pass along one piece of advice, what would it be?
Stay close to the church.
Why has that been important to you?
Because in this there is safety, in this there is peace.
What has your testimony done for you throughout your life?
It's kept me safe. And it's helped me to make good decisions, I hope.
There's a place in here that says giving thanks. It says list 10 things that you're grateful for. So I'll just leave this blank so you can fill that in.
Oh, okay.
And then it looks like this is the last one. Okay, 2 more. What's the best or most fun thing about being a grandmother? And what are some things that you love about your grandchildren?
Oh, the best things are the hugs. And the watching the delight on children's faces. And watching them grow up in good ways. The hugs.
The hugs. What are some things that you love about your grandchildren?
That they're doing such good things, that they make good choices. They are kind people.
Well, good. I'm glad you think we're kind.
You've had good parents.
Yes, and good influences. All right. What wishes do you have for your children and grandchildren?
That they'll stay close to the gospel. That they'll love their Heavenly Father keep his commandments.
Now that has recorded everything you said.
Mm-hmm.
All
So
right.
you have your funeral program written out?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do I have to do anything?
You'll be one of the honorary pallbearers.
Sweet. I can do that.
Now I want you to get up and sing with Janet.
Nope.
No?
I love you, Grandma, but I cry when I sing when it's not a funeral. So singing at funerals is not a good idea. Was there anything else that you'd like to say before we go? This has been so much fun.
It's been interesting hearing your thoughts.
Yeah.
Just do what you should. Keep the commandments.
You sound
Love
like
your
President
Heavenly
Hinckley.
Father. Let him lead your life.
Remember the last reunion we went